Hello, and welcome to our The Historical Treasury YouTube channel, William Shakespeare, widely considered one of the greatest playwrights and poets in history. In this video, we will delve into his life, his influential body of work, and his enduring legacy that still resonates with audiences today. Introduction. Background information on William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, 1564-1616, was an English playwright, poet, and actor, widely regarded as one of the greatest writers in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He was born in Stratford, upon Avon, Warwickshire, England, and he wrote about 38 plays and 154 sonnets during his career, which spanned over 2 decades. Shakespeare's works are known for their rich language, complex characters, and universal themes that explore the human condition. Some of his most famous plays include Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Othello, and King Lear. His works have been translated into every major language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. Shakespeare's life remains something of a mystery, as few records of his personal life survive. He married Anne Hathaway at the age of 18, and they had 3 children together. Shakespeare later moved to London, where he began his career as an actor and playwright. He became a shareholder in the Globe Theatre and the Blackfriars Theatre, and was also a member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a company of actors that later became the King's Men. Shakespeare retired to Stratford in 1613 and died there 3 years later at the age of 52. Importance of William Shakespeare in literature. William Shakespeare's impact on literature cannot be overstated. He is widely regarded as the greatest playwright in the English language and one of the most significant figures in world literature. Shakespeare's works have had a profound influence on the development of the English language, and his plays are still performed and studied around the world today. Shakespeare's plays are notable for their complex characters, rich language, and exploration of universal themes such as love, power, and ambition. He was a master of language, and his works have contributed countless phrases and expressions to the English language, such as to be or not to be, from Hamlet and fair play from The Tempest. Moreover, Shakespeare's influence extends beyond literature. His works have inspired countless adaptations, including plays, films, and operas. Shakespeare has also influenced many other writers, including Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and William Faulkner. In short, William Shakespeare is a literary giant whose works continue to resonate with readers and audiences around the world. His contribution to literature and the English language is immeasurable, and his plays remain timeless classics that are still enjoyed and celebrated today. Thesis statement: William Shakespeare's impact on literature, language, and theatre is immeasurable, and his legacy continues to influence and inspire writers, actors, and audiences around the world. From his masterful use of language and exploration of universal themes, to his influence on the development of the English language and the enduring popularity of his plays, Shakespeare's contributions to the literary world are still felt today. His legacy has left an indelible mark on literature and the arts, and his works remain a testament to the power of storytelling and the enduring relevance of the human experience. Early life and education. William Shakespeare was born in Stratford, upon Avon, England in 1564. He was the 3rd child of John Shakespeare, a leather merchant, and Mary Arden, the daughter of a wealthy landowner. Shakespeare attended the local grammar school, where he received a classical education in Latin grammar and literature. Little is known about Shakespeare's early life, but it is believed that he left school at the age of 14 and did not attend university. Some historians have speculated that he may have worked as a schoolmaster or a lawyer's clerk before beginning his career as an actor and playwright in London. It is also believed that Shakespeare may have had some experience with the theatre as a young man, as his hometown of Stratford upon Avon was home to a thriving theatre scene. His father was also involved in local theatrical productions, and it is possible that Shakespeare may have been exposed to the theatre through his family. Despite the limited information available about his early life, it is clear that Shakespeare received a solid education that would have provided him with a strong foundation in classical literature and language, which would later prove crucial to his success as a playwright and poet. Early life and family background. William Shakespeare was born in Stratford, upon Avon, England on April 23, 1564, to John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. John Shakespeare was a successful glover and tradesman who held several important local government positions, including that of alderman and high bailiff, similar to a mayor. Mary Arden came from a wealthy family of landowners, and her family's social status likely contributed to Shakespeare's later success in London's theatrical scene. William was the third of 8 children, and his upbringing was likely comfortable and middle class. Little is known about his childhood, but it is believed that he attended the local grammar school, where he received a classical education in Latin grammar and literature. At the age of 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years his senior and from a nearby village. They had 3 children together, a daughter named Susanna and twins named Hamnet and Judith. Shakespeare's family life is largely shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that he maintained close ties to his family throughout his life, even as he became more successful in London's theatre scene. Education and schooling. William Shakespeare attended the local grammar school in Stratford upon Avon, which was a common educational path for boys of his social class. The school's curriculum focused on Latin grammar and literature, and students would have studied a range of classical texts by authors such as Cicero, Virgil, and Ovid. Shakespeare's education would have been rigorous and demanding, and it would have provided him with a strong foundation in language, literature, and rhetoric. These skills would prove crucial to his later success as a playwright and poet, as he was able to draw on his knowledge of classical literature to create complex characters and richly poetic language in his works. Despite the limited information available about Shakespeare's schooling, his plays contain numerous references to classical literature, mythology, and history, suggesting that he had a deep knowledge of these subjects. Shakespeare's education also likely included training in acting, as he later became a successful actor and shareholder in a theatre company. Overall, Shakespeare's education and schooling provided him with a solid foundation in language, literature, and theatre, which would prove crucial to his later success as one of the greatest playwrights in history. Early influences on Shakespeare's writing. William Shakespeare was influenced by a variety of literary, cultural, and historical sources throughout his career. Some of his early influences include 1. Classical literature. Shakespeare was likely exposed to the works of classical authors, such as Ovid, Virgil, and Plautus, during his education at the local grammar school. His plays often contain references to classical mythology and literature. 2. English literature. Shakespeare was also influenced by English literature, particularly the works of Geoffrey Chaucer and Edmund Spenser, as well as the anonymous medieval morality plays that were popular at the time. 3. The Bible. The Bible was a major influence on Shakespeare's writing, and his plays often contain biblical references and allusions. 4. Theatre. Shakespeare's early exposure to theatre in his hometown of Stratford upon Avon may have also influenced his writing. He would have been familiar with the popular plays and theatrical conventions of the day, and his own plays often incorporate elements of comedy, tragedy, and historical drama. 5. Historical events. The political and social upheavals of Shakespeare's time, including the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I, likely influenced his writing. His plays often explore themes of power, authority, and social hierarchy. Overall, Shakespeare's early influences were diverse and wide-ranging, reflecting his deep knowledge of literature, theatre, and history. These influences would continue to shape his writing throughout his career, helping to establish him as one of the greatest playwrights in history. Career and works. William Shakespeare began his career in the theatre as an actor and playwright in London in the late 16th century. He quickly established himself as one of the most talented and successful playwrights of his time, producing a body of work that includes some of the greatest plays in the English language. Shakespeare's works are typically divided into 3 categories: comedies, tragedies, and histories. Some of his most famous plays include 1. Comedies: A Midsummer Night's Dream, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, and The Merchant of Venice. 2. Tragedies: Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, and King Lear. 3. Histories: Henry V, Richard II, and Richard II. Shakespeare's plays are notable for their complex characters, richly poetic language, and exploration of timeless themes such as love, power, jealousy, and revenge. His works continue to be performed and studied around the world, and his legacy as one of the greatest playwrights in history remains firmly established. In addition to his plays, Shakespeare also wrote over 150 sonnets, which are considered among the finest examples of English poetry. These sonnets explore themes of love, beauty, and mortality, and are notable for their use of intricate rhyme schemes and vivid imagery. Overall, Shakespeare's career and works represent a remarkable achievement in the world of literature and theatre, and his influence can still be felt today in the countless adaptations, performances, and scholarly studies of his plays and poems. Early career and the creation of the Lord Chamberlain's Men. After arriving in London in the late 1580s, William Shakespeare began his career as an actor and playwright. He soon found success as a writer, and by the early 1590s, he was a member of a theatre company known as the Lord Strange's Men. In 1594, Shakespeare joined a new company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, which would become one of the most successful and influential theatre companies of the era. The Lord Chamberlain's Men was sponsored by Henry Carey, the Lord Chamberlain of England, and it quickly became known for its high-quality productions of Shakespeare's plays. As a member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, Shakespeare was not only a playwright but also an actor. He was known for his performances in lead roles such as Hamlet, Romeo, and Macbeth, and he was highly respected by his fellow actors. Under Shakespeare's leadership, the Lord Chamberlain's Men built their own theatre, known as the Globe, in 1599. The Globe was a circular, open, air theatre that could seat up to 3,000 people, and it quickly became one of the most popular and iconic theatres in London. Overall, Shakespeare's early career was marked by rapid success and acclaim, as he quickly established himself as one of the leading playwrights and actors of his time. His association with the Lord Chamberlain's Men allowed him to produce some of his most famous works, and to help shape the development of English theatre in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Major works and themes. William Shakespeare is known for his mastery of language and his ability to explore complex themes and ideas through his plays and sonnets. Some of his major works and themes include 1. Romeo and Juliet. This tragedy explores the themes of love, fate, and family conflict, and is perhaps Shakespeare's most famous work. The play follows the tragic love story of Romeo and Juliet, two young lovers from rival families who are unable to be together due to their families' feuds. 2. Hamlet. This tragedy explores the themes of revenge, betrayal, and mortality. The play follows the story of Prince Hamlet, who seeks revenge against his uncle Claudius for murdering his father and usurping the throne. 3. Macbeth. This tragedy explores the themes of ambition, power, and guilt. The play follows the story of Macbeth, a Scottish nobleman who becomes consumed by his ambition and ultimately brings about his own downfall. 4. Othello. This tragedy explores the themes of jealousy, racism, and betrayal. The play follows the story of Othello, a Moorish general in the Venetian army who becomes consumed by jealousy and destroys his own life and the lives of those around him. 5. King Lear. This tragedy explores the themes of family, power, and madness. The play follows the story of King Lear, who divides his kingdom among his 3 daughters with disastrous consequences. In addition to these major works, Shakespeare's plays often explore themes of love, loyalty, gender roles, and social hierarchy. His works also contain numerous memorable characters, including tragic heroes, comic foils, and memorable villains. Overall, Shakespeare's works continue to be celebrated for their masterful use of language, their exploration of universal themes, and their enduring relevance to modern audiences. Significance of Shakespeare's works. William Shakespeare's works are significant for a number of reasons, including 1. Mastery of language. Shakespeare's plays and sonnets are widely regarded as some of the most masterful examples of the English language. His use of poetic language, vivid imagery, and complex wordplay continue to be studied and admired by scholars and readers alike. 2. Exploration of universal themes. Shakespeare's works explore a wide range of universal themes that continue to resonate with modern audiences. These themes include love, betrayal, power, morality, and the human condition. 3. Influence on theatre. Shakespeare's plays helped to shape the development of English theatre in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, and his influence continues to be felt in the world of theatre today. Many of his plays are still performed on stage and have been adapted into numerous films, television shows, and other forms of media. 4. Cultural significance. Shakespeare's works have had a profound impact on English literature and culture, and his influence can be seen in everything from literature to music to film. His works have also been translated into numerous languages and continue to be read and studied by people around the world. 5. Educational value. Shakespeare's works are often taught in schools and universities around the world, and they continue to be an important part of the English literary canon. Studying Shakespeare's works can help students develop critical thinking skills, improve their understanding of language and literature, and gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the human experience. Overall, William Shakespeare's works have had a profound impact on English literature, theatre, and culture, and his legacy continues to be celebrated and studied today. Impact on language and literature. William Shakespeare's impact on language and literature cannot be overstated. Here are some of the ways in which he has influenced the English language and literary tradition. 1. Vocabulary. Shakespeare's plays and sonnets contain numerous words and phrases that were coined or popularized by him. Some estimates suggest that Shakespeare added around 1,700 words to the English language, including words like eyeball, swagger, and fashionable. 2. Poetic language. Shakespeare's use of poetic language, including rhyme, meter, and figurative language, has had a profound impact on English poetry and literature. His works are often studied for their use of metaphors, similes, and other literary devices. 3. Characterization. Shakespeare's characters are some of the most memorable and complex in all of literature. His ability to create fully realized characters with their own distinct personalities and motivations has influenced countless writers throughout history. 4. Themes. Shakespeare's exploration of universal themes like love, power, and morality has had a lasting impact on English literature and culture. His works have inspired countless writers to explore similar themes in their own work. 5. Genre. Shakespeare's plays helped to establish and shape a number of genres, including tragedy, comedy, and historical drama. His influence can be seen in countless works of literature, theatre, and film that have followed in his footsteps. Overall, Shakespeare's impact on language and literature has been profound, and his legacy continues to be felt today. His works are widely studied and celebrated for their masterful use of language, exploration of universal themes, and enduring relevance to modern audiences. Influence on theatre and performance. William Shakespeare's influence on theatre and performance is significant and far-reaching. Here are some of the ways in which he has impacted these fields. 1. Theatrical conventions. Shakespeare's plays helped to establish and popularize many of the conventions of English theatre, including the use of soliloquies, asides, and other techniques to convey character and plot information to the audience. 2. Stagecraft. Shakespeare's plays often included complex stage directions and required intricate sets and costumes. His plays were some of the first to use elaborate sets and special effects to enhance the theatrical experience. 3. Acting. Shakespeare's plays require a high level of skill and artistry from actors, and his characters are some of the most iconic and challenging roles in all of theatre. His works have helped to shape the development of acting as an art form. 4. Adaptation. Shakespeare's plays have been adapted into countless productions, from traditional stagings to modern reinterpretations. His works have inspired filmmakers, playwrights, and other artists to adapt and reinterpret his plays in new and innovative ways. 5. Global impact. Shakespeare's works have been performed and adapted in countries and cultures around the world, and his influence can be seen in diverse theatrical traditions, from Japan's No Theatre to India's Bollywood films. Overall, William Shakespeare's impact on theatre and performance has been immense, and his legacy continues to be celebrated and studied today. His works have helped to shape the development of English theatre and acting as an art form, and his plays continue to be performed and adapted in new and innovative ways. Legacy and lasting impact. William Shakespeare's legacy and lasting impact can be seen in numerous areas of culture and society. Here are some of the ways in which he has left an indelible mark. 1. Literature. Shakespeare's works are some of the most influential and widely studied in all of English literature. His exploration of universal themes and masterful use of language have influenced countless writers and poets throughout history. 2. Language. Shakespeare's contributions to the English language cannot be overstated. His works introduced countless new words and phrases to the language and helped to shape its development and evolution. 3. Theatre. Shakespeare's impact on English theatre and performance is profound. His plays helped to establish many of the conventions of English theatre, and his characters and stories remain some of the most iconic and beloved in all of theatre. 4. Culture. Shakespeare's influence can be seen in numerous aspects of popular culture, from movies and TV shows to music and literature. His characters, stories, and themes continue to resonate with audiences around the world. 5. Education. Shakespeare's works are a staple of English literature education at all levels, from elementary school to university. His plays are widely taught and studied, and his influence on English language and literature is a core part of the curriculum. Overall, William Shakespeare's legacy and lasting impact are significant and far-reaching. His contributions to language, literature, theatre, and culture have had a profound influence on the world and continue to be celebrated and studied today. Literary techniques and style. William Shakespeare is renowned for his masterful use of literary techniques and unique style. Here are some of the techniques and styles that he is known for. 1. Metaphors and similes. Shakespeare uses metaphors and similes to create vivid and memorable images that help to convey complex emotions and ideas to his audience. 2. Blank verse. Shakespeare is known for his use of iambic pentameter, or blank verse, which gives his plays a rhythmic and musical quality. 3. Soliloquies and asides. Shakespeare frequently uses soliloquies and asides to give his characters a chance to reveal their inner thoughts and feelings to the audience. 4. Foreshadowing. Shakespeare often uses foreshadowing to build tension and create a sense of anticipation in his plays. 5. Irony. Shakespeare uses irony to create humor and to comment on the contradictions and complexities of human behavior. 6. Wordplay. Shakespeare is known for his clever wordplay, which often includes puns, double entendres, and other forms of verbal humor. 7. Characterization. Shakespeare's characters are known for their depth and complexity, and he often uses subtle details and nuanced language to create fully realized and believable individuals. Overall, William Shakespeare's use of literary techniques and unique style have helped to establish him as one of the greatest writers in the English language. His works continue to be studied and celebrated today for their rich language, complex characters, and timeless themes. Use of language and imagery. William Shakespeare's use of language and imagery is one of his most notable strengths as a writer. He had a keen sense of the power of words and knew how to use them to create vivid and memorable images that could capture the imagination of his audience. Here are some examples of his use of language and imagery. 1. Metaphors and similes. Shakespeare used metaphors and similes to compare complex ideas to something more concrete that the audience could easily understand. For example, in Hamlet he compares death to the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returned. 2. Symbolism. Shakespeare used symbols to represent abstract ideas or themes. For example, in Macbeth, the witches and their cauldron represent evil and the supernatural. 3. Alliteration. Shakespeare used alliteration to create a musical quality to his language. For example, in Romeo and Juliet, he uses alliteration in the line from Forth, "The fatal loins of these two foes." 4. Personification. Shakespeare personified abstract ideas, giving them human characteristics. For example, in As You Like It, he personifies melancholy as a character who sits on a monument, smiling at grief. 5. Imagery. Shakespeare's use of vivid imagery helped to create a visual picture in the minds of his audience. For example, in Hamlet, he describes the sky as inky cloak, and in Macbeth, he uses the metaphor of a bloody dagger to represent guilt. Overall, Shakespeare's use of language and imagery helped to make his plays more accessible and engaging to his audiences. He was a master at using language to create vivid pictures and convey complex ideas, making his works a staple of English literature and theatre to this day. Characterization and dramatic structure. William Shakespeare's plays are known for their complex characterization and well-crafted dramatic structure. Here are some examples of his use of characterization and dramatic structure. 1. Characterization. Shakespeare's characters are often multifaceted and complex, with conflicting motivations and emotions. For example, in Hamlet, the protagonist struggles with his desire for revenge and his moral qualms about killing his uncle. Similarly, in Macbeth, the title character is torn between his ambition and his conscience. 2. Foils. Shakespeare often uses foils or contrasting characters to highlight the differences between characters and to provide insight into their personalities. For example, in Romeo and Juliet, the impetuous and passionate Romeo is contrasted with the calm and rational Friar Lawrence. 3. Dramatic irony. Shakespeare uses dramatic irony to create tension and suspense in his plays. For example, in Othello, the audience knows that Iago is lying and manipulating the other characters, while they remain unaware. 4. Dramatic structure. Shakespeare's plays often follow a 5-act structure, with each act building towards a climax. For example, in Macbeth, the first act establishes the characters and their motivations, while the second and third acts show Macbeth's descent into madness and violence. The fourth act sees the culmination of the conflict, while the fifth act brings resolution and closure. 5. Themes. Shakespeare's plays often explore timeless themes such as love, power, and revenge. These themes provide the backbone of the dramatic structure and help to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. Overall, Shakespeare's use of characterization and dramatic structure helped to elevate his plays to new heights of artistic achievement. His characters are often complex and nuanced, with conflicting motivations and emotions, and his use of dramatic structure creates tension and suspense that keeps audiences engaged from start to finish. Themes and motifs in Shakespeare's works. William Shakespeare's works are known for their exploration of timeless themes and motifs that continue to resonate with audiences today. Here are some examples of themes and motifs that appear throughout Shakespeare's works. 1. Love. Love is a prominent theme in many of Shakespeare's plays, from the passionate love between Romeo and Juliet to the more mature love between Beatrice and Benedick in Much Ado About Nothing. 2. Power and politics. Many of Shakespeare's plays explore the corrupting influence of power and the struggle for political control. For example, Macbeth shows the destructive consequences of unchecked ambition, while Julius Caesar explores the consequences of political intrigue. 3. Fate and free will. Shakespeare often grapples with the tension between fate and free will. For example, in Hamlet, the protagonist struggles with the idea that his fate is predetermined, while in Macbeth, the title character believes that his actions can alter his destiny. 4. Revenge. Revenge is a recurring motif in many of Shakespeare's plays. For example, Hamlet revolves around the protagonist's desire for revenge against his uncle, while Othello explores the destructive consequences of revenge. 5. Appearance versus reality. Shakespeare often explores the tension between appearances and reality. For example, in Twelfth Night, the protagonist Viola disguises herself as a man, blurring the line between appearance and reality. 6. Madness. Many of Shakespeare's plays explore the theme of madness. For example, in King Lear, the protagonist descends into madness after being betrayed by his daughters, while in Hamlet, the protagonist feigns madness to hide his true intention. Overall, Shakespeare's works are rich with themes and motifs that continue to resonate with audiences today. His exploration of universal human experiences, such as love, power, and revenge, has cemented his place as one of the greatest writers in the English language. Controversies and Criticisms. William Shakespeare's legacy has not been without controversy and criticism. Here are some examples of controversies and criticisms surrounding his works. 1. Authorship. Some scholars and enthusiasts have questioned whether Shakespeare was the true author of his works, suggesting that they may have been written by someone else, such as Francis Bacon or Christopher Marlowe. However, most scholars agree that Shakespeare was indeed the author of his works. 2. Racism. Some of Shakespeare's plays, such as Othello, have been criticized for their depiction of non-white characters. Critics argue that the plays perpetuate racist stereotypes and contribute to the marginalization of non-white people. 3. Sexism. Some of Shakespeare's plays have also been criticized for their sexist portrayal of female characters. For example, in The Taming of the Shrew, the protagonist Petruchio tames his headstrong wife by using psychological manipulation and abuse. 4. Colonialism. Some scholars have criticized Shakespeare for his portrayal of colonialism in plays such as The Tempest, arguing that the plays contribute to a narrative of European superiority over non-European culture. 5. Anti-Semitism. Shakespeare's portrayal of Jewish characters in plays such as The Merchant of Venice has been criticized for perpetuating anti-Semitic stereotypes. 6. Historical inaccuracies. Some critics have pointed out historical inaccuracies in Shakespeare's plays, particularly in his historical plays such as Richard II. However, most scholars agree that Shakespeare was more concerned with creating compelling narratives than with historical accuracy. Overall, while Shakespeare's works continue to be celebrated for their artistic and literary merit, they have also been subject to criticism and controversy for their depictions of race, gender, colonialism, and historical accuracy. Nonetheless, these critiques do not diminish the impact and significance of Shakespeare's legacy in English literature. Authorship debate. The authorship debate surrounding William Shakespeare's works centers around the question of whether he was the true author of the plays, poems, and sonnets that bear his name. Some theorists have suggested that the works were actually written by someone else, such as Francis Bacon, Christopher Marlowe, or Edward de Vere, the Earl of Oxford. Those who argue against Shakespeare's authorship often point to the lack of historical records detailing his education or writing career, as well as the fact that his name appears in various spellings in different documents of the time. However, the vast majority of Shakespeare scholars and academics agree that he was indeed the true author of his works. Evidence supporting Shakespeare's authorship includes contemporary accounts of his involvement in the London theatre scene, references to him as a playwright and actor by his contemporaries, and the fact that his name appears on the title pages of numerous plays and poems during his lifetime. Furthermore, the style, language, and themes present in Shakespeare's works are consistent with the literary conventions and cultural context of Elizabethan England, indicating that they were likely written by someone with first-hand knowledge of the period. Despite ongoing debate and occasional claims to the contrary, the weight of evidence strongly supports Shakespeare's authorship of the works attributed to him. Political and social controversy. William Shakespeare's works have often been the subject of political and social controversies throughout history. Here are some examples. 1. Censorship. During Shakespeare's time, the London theatre scene was subject to strict censorship laws that limited the kinds of stories and themes that could be depicted on stage. Shakespeare's plays, which often touched on controversial topics such as politics, religion, and sexuality, were frequently subject to censorship and scrutiny from authorities. 2. Politics. Shakespeare's plays have often been interpreted through a political lens, with critics and scholars analysing their themes and characters in relation to contemporary political issues. For example, Julius Caesar has been seen as a commentary on the dangers of tyranny and the importance of democracy, while Macbeth has been interpreted as a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of power. 3. Gender and sexuality. Shakespeare's portrayal of gender and sexuality has also been the subject of controversy and debate. Some critics argue that his works challenge traditional gender roles and sexual norms, while others see them as reinforcing patriarchal and heteronormative values. 4. Colonialism. As mentioned earlier, some of Shakespeare's plays, such as The Tempest, have been criticised for their depiction of colonialism and their contribution to a narrative of European superiority over non-European cultures. 5. Religion. Shakespeare's religious beliefs have been the subject of speculation and debate. While some scholars argue that his works reveal a deep understanding of Catholicism and its rituals, others see them as more broadly humanistic and skeptical of organised religion. Overall, Shakespeare's works have been the subject of ongoing debate and interpretation in relation to a range of political and social issues. Despite the controversies surrounding his works, his plays and sonnets continue to be celebrated for their literary and artistic merit and their enduring impact on the English language and culture. Religious criticisms and interpretations. Religion and religious beliefs have been a subject of interpretation and controversy in Shakespeare's works. Shakespeare lived in a time when England was transitioning from Catholicism to Protestantism, and his plays reflect the religious tensions of his era. Here are some examples of religious criticisms and interpretations of his works. 1. Catholicism. Some scholars argue that Shakespeare had a Catholic upbringing and that his plays contain hidden references to Catholicism, despite the fact that he lived in a predominantly Protestant society. For example, the character of Friar Lawrence in Romeo and Juliet has been interpreted as a Catholic priest, while the character of Cardinal Wolsey in Henry VE is depicted as a sympathetic figure. 2. Protestantism. Shakespeare's plays also reflect the growing influence of Protestantism in English society. For example, Hamlet has been interpreted as a critique of Catholicism and a celebration of Protestant values such as individualism and self-reliance. 3. Religious skepticism. Some scholars argue that Shakespeare was skeptical of organized religion and its institutions. For example, in Measure for Measure for Measure, the character of Angelo is a religious hypocrite who abuses his power, while the character of the Duke represents a more enlightened and humanistic perspective. 4. Morality and ethics. Many of Shakespeare's plays explore themes of morality and ethics that are closely linked to religious beliefs. For example, The Merchant of Venice raises questions about justice, mercy and forgiveness, while King Lear explores the nature of good and evil and the consequences of our actions. Overall, Shakespeare's works contain a rich and complex exploration of religious themes and beliefs. While there is ongoing debate and interpretation about his religious views, his plays continue to be celebrated for their insights into the human condition and their timeless relevance. Shakespearean adaptations and modern interpretation. Shakespeare's plays and sonnets have had a lasting impact on literature and culture and have been adapted and reinterpreted countless times in modern times. Here are some examples of Shakespearean adaptations and modern interpretations and modern interpretations. 1. Film adaptations. Many of Shakespeare's plays have been adapted into films, with some of the most notable examples including Romeo and Juliet, directed by Franco Zeffirelli, Hamlet, directed by Kenneth Branagh, and Macbeth, directed by Justin Kurzel. These adaptations often bring Shakespeare's stories to a wider audience and introduce new generations to his works. 2. Modern retellings. Shakespeare's stories have also been reimagined in contemporary settings, such as Baz Luhrmann's Romeo AD Juliet, which takes place in modern-day Los Angeles. Other examples include West Side Story, which adapts Romeo and Juliet to the setting of 1950s New York City, and 10 Things I Hate About You, which is a modern retelling of The Taming of the Shrew. 3. Stage adaptations. Shakespeare's plays have been adapted for the stage countless times, with many modern productions putting their own spin on the classic works. For example, the Royal Shakespeare Company has staged productions of Hamlet and Macbeth that incorporate elements of modern technology and multimedia. 4. Parodies and spoofs. Shakespeare's works have also been parodied and spoofed in popular culture, such as the television series Blackadder, which features a recurring character who is a ham actor constantly misquoting Shakespeare. 5. Literary adaptations. Shakespeare's plays have also been adapted into novels, such as 1,000 Acres by Jane Smiley, which adapts King Lear to the setting of a modern-day Iowa farm. Overall, Shakespeare's works continue to inspire and influence new generations of writers, filmmakers and artists, and his legacy remains a vital part of modern culture. Summary of key points. Here are the key points covered in this discussion on William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was a renowned English playwright, poet, and actor who lived in the 16th and 17th centuries. He is widely considered one of the greatest writers in the English language, and his works continue to be widely read and performed around the world. Shakespeare's works are notable for their use of language, imagery, characterization, and dramatic structure. He wrote a variety of plays, including tragedies, comedies, and histories, as well as 154 sonnets. Shakespeare's works have had a lasting impact on literature, language, and culture, and his influence can be seen in modern adaptations, retellings, and interpretations. Despite his enduring legacy, there have been controversies and criticisms around issues such as authorship, politics, social issues, and religious interpretations of his works. Despite these controversies, Shakespeare's works continue to be studied and celebrated by scholars, performers, and audiences around the world. Importance of Shakespeare in today's world. William Shakespeare's importance in today's world lies in his enduring legacy and the impact his works continue to have on literature, language, and culture. Here are some ways in which Shakespeare remains relevant today. 1. His works continue to be widely read, studied, and performed around the world, making him a central figure in English literature and theatre. 2. His use of language and imagery has had a lasting impact on the English language, with many phrases and idioms from his works still in use today. 3. His exploration of universal themes such as love, power, and ambition remain relevant today and continue to resonate with audiences of all ages and backgrounds. 4. His plays have been adapted and reinterpreted countless times in modern times, demonstrating his enduring influence and relevance in contemporary culture. 5. His works continue to inspire new generations of writers, actors, and artists, ensuring that his legacy will endure for many years to come. Overall, Shakespeare's works continue to be a vital part of our cultural heritage, and his influence can be seen in literature, theatre, film, and popular culture. As such, his importance in today's world is both significant and enduring. Final thoughts and recommendations for further reading. In conclusion, William Shakespeare was a literary genius whose impact on language, literature, and culture continues to be felt today. His plays and sonnets are beloved by readers and audiences around the world, and his influence can be seen in everything from modern adaptations to everyday language. Despite the controversies and criticisms that have surrounded his works, Shakespeare's enduring legacy remains a testament to his extraordinary talent and enduring relevance. For those interested in learning more about William Shakespeare, there are many resources available. Some recommended reading includes Shakespeare, The Invention of the Human by Harold Bloom, which offers an insightful analysis of Shakespeare's works and their impact on Western culture. The Cambridge Companion to Shakespeare, edited by Margrethe de Grazier and Stanley Wells, which provides a comprehensive overview of Shakespeare's life, works, and legacy. Shakespeare, After All by Marjorie Garber, which offers a lively and accessible introduction to Shakespeare's plays and their themes. Will in the World, How Shakespeare Became Shakespeare by Stephen Greenblatt, which provides a fascinating look at the world in which Shakespeare lived and worked, and the events that shaped his life and art. These works are just a few examples of the many resources available for those interested in learning more about Shakespeare and his enduring legacy. Thanks for watching our video. Like, subscribe, comment below to share your feedback. If you want to watch that type of knowledgeable videos, then press the bell icon. See you until next video.